Good everyone, Organized Video. Today we have our first proper in-depth Spade review of the B17BS. Now, I bet you're wondering, if you're new to the channel or whatever, what is the in-depth Spade review? So the in-depth Spade review is a new sort of style I've started doing with my Spade reviews across my channel. Obviously, the older ones are not going to change, those are going to stay the same. But the newer ones, such as the B17BS, the Chiha Long Gun, etc., these will be done far differently to what you expect. Now, just to make it clear, the style of the Spade review will not change. The open hanger part will stay the same, however, the actual description of the vehicle, like on the player card or whatever, will be done entirely differently, and this will give you a real idea of how my Spade went across playing the aircraft. So, let's go over the vehicle normally, and then we'll obviously go to the actual in-depth part. So, B17BS, it's essentially a B17B with floats. That really doesn't need an explanation. It's a very fun aircraft to fly, however it does have a few bugs from what I've noticed. First of all, the rip speed is far too low, given that the regular B17 can dive quite comfortably to about 330 miles an hour, unless they've done an engine nerf and I just don't know about it. And secondly, the floats seem to break off whenever the hell they feel like. They tend to break off from between 260 miles an hour and about 290 miles an hour. Whilst breaking the floats off is beneficial, there is also a rather large bug with that as well. Whenever you're flying level, such as on the deck, the aircraft doesn't seem to gain much speed. I would assume that the game still thinks the floats are there, and obviously this subsequently causes drag and everything. But either way, now I apologize for my camera movements. This is the best you're going to get. This camera is horrible on these float planes right now. So let's go over the aircraft's armament. We're armed with two 8mm KSP M22 machine guns. They're feeling a bit lackluster. I reckon they've dropped a ninja nerf to these, because these didn't feel that effective personally. Your engine is a Bristol Mercury 14-cylinder radial with 1050 horsepower. It's sufficient, that is for definite. It defo moves the aircraft along nicely. Then obviously we have a rear gunner who is practically useless, but you never know, if you manage to drive by a bomber, you might be able to stick the gun up and shoot it under their ass or something, I don't know. But that's all really that happens inside the aircraft. There is a small oil cooling system and there is a couple of fuel tanks, but that's nothing really too interesting. Your bomb load is only one, 9 50-kilogram bombs, 4 under the wings, 5 in an internal bomb bay, typical of a B-17. You don't gain access to the 250-kilogram bomb, because obviously the mechanism would likely interact with the water, in real life of course, and I don't know if this aircraft carried any other bomb loads other than this, but it's still nice to at least have a bomb load. Now, the only downside of that is you do not get a bomb sight, so any bombing that you're going to be doing is going to have to be done via dive bombing. So, now that that's all out the way, and obviously we've gone over the vehicle briefly in the hangar, let's go into more in depth, shall we? I'll see you in a couple. So as you can see, we're on my desktop. This is how it's going to work now. And I've loaded up the image. Obviously, I've taken a screenshot and I've taken up the actual screenshot of the Photoshop file that I use. And I've merely done this to make it easier so I don't have to load Photoshop every time I want to do this. Because, well, that's what I do to record my battles now. I use Photoshop and then obviously I just snip it. Now, I can only apologize for the placement. Like, sometimes it will be out of order. That is due to my dyspraxia. I cannot help that. It's just the way I am. So if it triggers you in terms of the placement of stuff, please just bear in mind I am dyspraxic, so it can be hard for me to do stuff. But it's no big deal, to be honest. I'm getting better at that sort of thing. So, Battle 1 was 2 air kills, one of which was a jingle bomb. Yes, I managed to jingle bomb with 50-kilogram bombs. Flight, take note. Just make sure to drop it and hope they fly into it. It It's really the only way you're going to get a jingle bomb. I did die in that battle, obviously no ground kills and no assists, 2,606 lions, 341 RP as it was a defeat, and obviously no base bombing across the entire Spade because, well, it was only a 3-match Spade and it's relatively quick for this sort of aircraft. Now you'll notice up on the top left, obviously I've got the note there, y equals yes, n equals no, because obviously the def is a question mark. So what that means is, did I die? It's like a rhetorical question. Like obviously, it's just the way I wanted it structured. And obviously on the left you can see I've got the nation, so obviously Swedish or the Swedish flag. I've obviously got a picture of the aircraft and I have the vehicle's name. So that's the way I've structured it. So in the second battle was 0 air kills, 5 ground kills, no assists, didn't die, 417 silver lions due to another defeat, and 350 RP. Battle 3, which was the Spade, which you're going to be seeing very shortly, was 1 air kill, 10 ground units, 1 assist, no death, and 12,152 silver lions, and just a tad under 3,000 RP. Being a 3-match Spade, this isn't really what I would call a super in-depth, but the Chiha long gun will give you the first taste of what it's going to be like for the future. Let's put it that way. But anyway, let's get back into the actual game. Let's go over the gameplay of Battle 3, which was the Spade match for the aircraft. I'll see you in a couple. Well, welcome to the gameplay. Obviously, we've got the battle going now. I just had to adjust a few sound options because, well, it sounded a little loud. They've done some updates to the sound. So do let me know if the gameplay's a little quiet, because, well, I won't know until, well, I obviously won't know until the actual, well, I actually check it over, but if it's good enough for me, it's probably good enough for you. So in this battle, we have a couple of guests. We have Arkansas S17BS, I think that is, because the altitude is interfering with that. He's one of the subs in the comments and also very active in the Discord server, as I'm hoping so. And obviously we have good old Hairy Feet, who took out the B-17BS for his first time. And, well, we're just going to see how Battle 3 goes. Well, I know how it goes, because I flew it. So, obviously level flight speed of a half-spaded B-17BS is nothing to be amazed about. 180 miles an hour. It's not incredible, but you are lugging 2 big fat floats. And this is really where I learned where the aircraft has weak guns. Is when I engaged this Stuka. If I had normal 8mm, that would have shredded that Stuka quite easily. And you can see what I mean by the floats. They're not breaking off as per normal. I ripped one of them off, but now I have the other one causing a severe amount of drag. And obviously I've got an Oscar and I've got a 109 F1 pulling up for me. So as you can tell, it's not exactly what I would call stellar handling, and that's putting that lightly. To be honest, the aircraft just feels fine even with the floats on, but obviously against a 109 F1 in this sort of environment, yeah, you might outturn him, but not with a float underneath. And obviously I still have the bombs on, remember. But obviously at this point, I'm on my own here. I've only got myself and the entire enemy, well, at least a quarter of the enemy team, is going to the usual mentality of we have to kill the new plane, which I really don't understand this mentality. I honestly don't. And there goes a second float. I would love to know where this mentality comes from, because to me it's just silly. I mean, yeah, it's a new aircraft, but at the same time, it's no different from a regular B-17. It's just got floats and a worse bomb load. I wouldn't exactly call that important to kill, but hey ho, I don't control these Muppets, do I? So obviously I'm diving down just to get some distance between the Oscar and the 109. The C200 is kept with me in the dive and is continuing to try and press an attack, but obviously the I-16 there just deleted him from existence, which I'm kind of glad he did. And unfortunately, Hairy Feet rushed in to give me a hand, but at the same time, this is actually going to cost him his plane, because the enemy team seem to love going after him for some reason. I don't know why. But then again, he is flying the same plane as me, so it's very likely it's new plane syndrome. So this is where it gets into more... Well, this is where the actual battle starts to get a bit more interesting. I'm engaging this Stuka here, and as I said, if I had normal 8 mils, I would have shredded him. But these aren't normal 8 mils. These are handling like crap. Let's put it that way. These 8 mils are crap. And just to point out, I was running air target belts, which seems to work the best against aircraft for me. And it still didn't help it. And just to reiterate as well, I've also jammed my left-hand gun, just to point that out. But obviously the maneuverability of the aircraft and the roll rate is sufficient to make you dodge. But when you've got two 109s, which are under-tiered 109s, buzzing you, yeah, you're going to need a lot more than just a decent roll rate and a decent turn. So at this point, I made a decision to get my bombs off. I dropped the 450s under the wings and take out those two half-tracks there, which I think those were 251s, which, Gaijin, please give, I want one of those. And obviously, I'm getting all worried about that Key 43, but it turns out he's not actually coming for me. So at this point, I'm moving over to engage this BF-109. It's the B1, which is the weakest one out of the lot, because the E1 has already died, just to point out. I tried to deal with that. And I didn't know if the Key 27 needed a hand. And according to the replay, it appears the 109 is actually out of ammunition, but the Key 27 appeared to be struggling. Looks like we both blew off the flat there, and I get a lucky pilot snipe with my one remaining gun. That's my first and only air kill for this battle. But obviously I still have the bombs left, don't I? I still have the 5 50-kilogram bombs. At this point, I thought I was going to get TK'd. This Key 27 was acting very unusual, and, well, I've had far too many team killers recently, so I'm being very careful about it. So I'm coming in for a bomb drop. I drop one bomb on that artillery piece, which gets me the kill on it. I then drop the last 4 bombs that I have over this convoy, and there you go. Now it's time to swing the plane back around and get the rest of the ground units that I contributed for this battle. But like I said, the maneuverability is fine. It's just, I don't know, it's just not what I would expect. Like, it doesn't feel like the B-17 that it should be. Used the back gunner there, a single bullet clipped one of the armoured cars and the AI took it out, so that got me an additional kill. Then obviously the rear gunner dealt with the last ground unit that you saw there. But at this point, I start making my way back to my base. It turned out to be a waste of time because the enemy team is pretty much dead, and the 109 is not actually going to make it back to his base, and the BR-20 is going to be swarmed in a few moments. So like I say, it's a fun little aircraft. I don't know, would you fly it over a regular B-17? No. I would rather fly a regular B-17. But it's a float plane, so it automatically gets a +1. Because, well, I love float planes. But, like I say, if you're expecting this thing to be just like a regular B-17, it's not. You've got to adapt a couple of things that really make the aircraft different from a regular B-17. But on the plus side, I guess, I mean, it's another float plane, and that might even drop a hint towards Swedish naval. So those of you naval fans, if there are any, might actually enjoy this aircraft for when that time comes. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the B17BS, and I will catch you all on the next one.